and generous and loving. These are great qualities to have in a mom.
She had her hands full, no doubt about it. But she also had a lot of support, too, from her mother as well as from her sister.
Debbie's marriage to Philip Baker ended in 1987.
It was an amicable separation. Philip Baker actually came out and revealed to Deborah Baker that he was homosexual. And so they were going through that separation while their children were still young.
Philip lives in a house just down the street, so the kids can easily move between the two houses.
Having separated parents living in close proximity to one another shows that they have the interests of the children at heart. This type of cooperation can foster positive development in the young ones.
Philip Baker works as a physician's assistant and is an avid gardener who enjoys a strong cup of coffee.
Divorce is expensive, and Debbie and Philip have had some financial difficulties along the way. Plus, they are maintaining their separate homes, each on a single income.
On January 12, 1988, Debbie's mom and sister have her kids ready for a midweek handoff to Philip. The girls are going out for a party.
They had an arrangement made where Deborah would have the children on specific weekends and Phil Baker would have them on other weekends.
The kids are safely off to their dad's place, so Debbie is free to go with her mom and sister for a fun Tuesday night out.
It's not always easy for a single mom to get away from the job of being a parent, but tonight, Debbie can live it up a bit and not worry about anything.
The women drive across town to South Austin, where they attend a baby shower for a friend. It's a fun party, and they're there together until late in the evening. By the time the women drop Debbie off at her home again, it's past midnight. Lisa sees Debbie to her door.
Deborah Baker's sister was at the residence that evening, and she reported hearing some noises inside.
Debbie felt secure in her home and didn't worry about anyone bothering her. So Lisa says goodnight and Debbie goes off to bed. It's getting late and she has to work the next day.
In the early morning of Wednesday, January 13th, 1988, Debbie Masters Baker is home alone, asleep in her bed. Later that Wednesday morning, Gertrude gets a phone call from Debbie's work. The voice on the other end asking where Debbie is. She's expected at work but hasn't come to the office yet.
And that was very unlike her because she was usually very prompt. And if she wasn't going to show up for work, she would have called or given them some type of advance notice.
Gertrude tries Debbie's number, then heads over to the house when she gets no answer.
After knocks on the front door with no answer, Gertrude makes her way into the house. In the bedroom, Gertrude discovers what no mother should ever see.
And that's where she made the gruesome discovery of finding Deborah Baker deceased in the bed with obvious trauma to the body.
Debbie is lying on her bed with a severe head wound. She's obviously gone. Gertrude manages to call 911.
Austin police are in the middle of an apparent murder investigation this evening. The mother of a North Austin woman found her daughter dead early this afternoon.
It's a horrible experience for a parent to lose their child under any circumstances. For a loving mother to find their daughter, by all accounts, a happy, kind, caring person herself, murdered in her bedroom is devastating.
It's extremely difficult for the family, especially through the early stages.
Police arrive at Debbie's house and detectives quickly take control of the crime scene.
There's no sign of forced entry to the home. Did Debbie let someone in? Or is this a random opportunity where a prowler tried her door and found it unlocked?
Investigators examine Debbie's room and the state of her body.
Debbie's mom, Gertrude, was there first. She tells them she touched Debbie's leg to see if she could wake her. And when she lifted a pillow off Debbie's head, she saw the extent of her injuries. Her head is being repeatedly battered.
Who would commit such a violent crime to a defenseless woman as she lay asleep in her own home?
Suddenly, Debbie Masters Baker is gone. The long search for her killer is just beginning.
This is the story of the one. The one knows that when the big game is days away, the unexpected can put everything on the line. But with a solid game plan and a teammate like Granger that she can rely on to deliver the product she needs when she needs it, she's confident that she will always win the day. And her team will do the same. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Humana, we believe your health care should evolve with you, and part of that evolution means choosing the right Medicare plan for you. Humana can help. Hi, my name is Sam Davis, and I'm going to tell you about Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans that can provide more coverage than original Medicare, including prescription drug coverage, all wrapped up into one convenient plan. With original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits, but you have to meet a deductible for each, and then you're still responsible for 20% of the cost. Next, let's look at Medicare supplement plans. If a service is covered under original Medicare, then a Medicare supplement plan pays for some or all of your Medicare deductibles and the 20% co-insurance, but they may have higher monthly premiums and no prescription drug coverage. Humana Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans include medical coverage, plus prescription drug coverage, with $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions. Most plans include $0 copays for covered preventive dental services, vision coverage that includes vision exams and a yearly allowance toward eyewear. Even hearing benefits that include routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. You can get $0 copays for in-network preventive services and $0 copays for routine vaccines. And there's worldwide coverage for emergency and urgent care when you travel. Plus, Humana also offers Medicare Advantage plans. Plans have $0 or low monthly plan premiums, and there's a cap on your out-of-pocket costs. So call or go online today to see if there's a Humana plan in your area and to get our free decision guide. Licensed Humana sales agents are standing by, so call now. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
It's lunchtime, and Gary is double booked. Good thing Gary's company uses Otter's AI meeting assistant to take notes and generate a summary. So Gary doesn't miss a meeting and can regain his lunch break. Try now for free. Visit otter.ai or download the app.
I thought weight loss was all about willpower.
Turns out, I just needed more options.
The new Weight Watchers, with access to prescription weight loss medication, one-on-one dietitian support, and our clinically proven points program. Join now at WeightWatchers.com.
When you get approved with Drive Time, you get the real deal. It's the Drive Time Real Deal Maker.
Lets you customize the real down payment and monthly payment of the car you want to buy.
That's super smart. And the deal you make on your phone is the deal you pay. You make the deal yourself.
Get the real deal at DriveTime.com. Looking for cheap hotel rates? Look no further than Super.com. Get up to 50% off over 500,000 hotels worldwide. Skeptical? Head over to Super.com and see for yourself.
Remember, Dad, we've got Greenlight Infinity. You can see my location in real time, so you know I'm safe.
When I was your age, it wasn't that easy. Does anyone have a quarter so I can tell my mom I'm safe? Anyone?
Bring your family into the financial future.
This is an urgent notice about ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one were recently diagnosed with ovarian cancer after using Johnson & Johnson baby powder products, you may be entitled to a large cash settlement. Call Legal Injury Advocates now. This free call could lead to the financial compensation you deserve. Plaintiffs' attorneys claim Johnson & Johnson knew their products could cause ovarian cancer, but kept the product on the shelf until 2020. Juries have already awarded billions of dollars in compensation to cancer victims over the use of talcum powder. If you use these talcum powder products for feminine hygiene and were recently diagnosed, you may qualify as well, but you must call to file a claim as soon as possible. Call Legal Injury Advocates now to see if you qualify. You're not alone in this fight, and there is no upfront cost to begin your journey to justice. Call Legal Injury Advocates now to discuss your case. We're available 24 hours a day.
Call 1-800-779-3311 or visit www.lia.legal. That's 1-800-779-3311.
You should choose Southern New Hampshire University. Now knowing comparatively what other universities cost was way more affordable. Being able to transfer my credits from the biggest college I attended, it set me ahead almost 2 years. Visit snhu.edu.
Austin, Texas, January 13th, 1988. The body of single mother and realtor, Debbie Baker, is found on her bed by her horrified mother. She's been badly beaten over her head with a blunt object. Investigators are quickly on the scene. David Fugit is a detective with the Austin Police Department Homicide Unit. Being intimately aware of the initial murder investigation, he will become a lead investigator in Debbie's murder case years later.
No suspects or arrests in yesterday's brutal murder of a North Austin mother. An autopsy reveals that 34-year-old Deborah Baker died from at least 6 severe blows to the head with a heavy instrument. She was discovered dead in her bedroom by her mother.
We had entry that was made into the residence through a back door with blunt force trauma to the head, and then objects placed on top of the head, which is not very common. It was a pillow, and that really stood out in this particular case. I've been in homicide now almost 19 years. Had 65 murders as lead investigator, and I've worked on probably over 600, at least to some degree. And we just don't see that type of behavior.
Debbie has been struck with a blunt object several times. A small baseball bat is found in her bedroom.
Her son had a small wooden bat that was in the bedroom at the time, but we don't necessarily believe now that that was used. We think it may have been some other type of linear object. It was never recovered, so we don't know definitively.
The injuries are horrifying. The person or persons who did this acted with clear, brutal intent. What detectives don't know is why someone would do something like this to Debbie Masters Baker.
Police see that a video cassette recorder, a VCR machine, and a popular movie tape are missing from Debbie's bedroom.
It ended up being a 1984 Montgomery Ward's VCR and the Raiders of the Lost Ark VHS tape.
Is this a robbery gone wrong? Did someone come into Debbie's house to steal valuables when Debbie interrupted them?
A jewelry box on the dresser in Debbie's bedroom has been left untouched.
When there's a VCR machine missing, but a jewelry box is untouched, especially when it's in plain sight, it calls into question whether robbery was the real motive.
Did Debbie surprise the robber while he was stealing her things? The attack is so vicious, it seems doubtful that robbery is the motive.
Debbie's body is unclothed. Detectives can't rule out sexual assault as a motive.
There was not necessarily evidence of sexual assault, but there was certainly what we believe to be a component of it. We believe that he potentially had masturbated next to the body.
Investigators take a closer look at the sliding door that opens onto Debbie's backyard. It was left unlocked, and it seems likely the killer gained entry through the backyard.
As the sun sets, officers notice something curious. A pattern in the leaves lying on the grass that leads to the rear fence.
She had a privacy fence that encircled her property. There were leaves, just based upon that time of year, where it looked like there was some disturbance on the ground just on the inside fence line.
Detectives see a trail through the fallen leaves that goes from the unlocked sliding door of Debbie Baker's house to the fence at the back of her yard.
It is possible for shoes or boots to track leaves for a few yards and then make a trail or pathway, which would be discoverable by police officers.
The police now suspect someone may have hopped the fence to gain entry into the house.
If police are correct, then someone very likely knew they could get into the house through an unlocked door. And that would mean they had knowledge of Debbie. But did Debbie know them?
Most murders are committed by people known to the victims. So detectives will now focus their investigation on people who knew Debbie Baker.
Debbie's mom and sister tell police that Debbie wasn't dating anyone at the time.
The investigation into Debbie Baker's killing is just beginning, and already things aren't adding up.
A missing VCR machine, but a jewelry box still in place. No signs of forced entry, but no one stands out as a person who might want to kill her.
And the viciousness of this crime, Debbie's body badly beaten, nude, and face down with her head covered by a blood-stained pillow.
Is this a robbery, a twisted sexual assault, a cover-up, or all of the above? Did Debbie Baker know her killer or killers?
The first person investigators need to interview is the one with the most to gain.
What if things got easier as you got older? like healthcare. At Oak Street Health, we specialize in healthcare for older adults, with care that focuses on keeping you healthy, not just treating you when you're sick.
This doctor at Oak Street was more concerned about your health, and that's what she stressed. All during the conversation, she says, I'm here to get you on track and to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be. That impressed me.
At Oak Street Health, instead of waiting for health problems to happen, our team works with you to prevent them in the first place. More time with your doctor means you won't feel rushed. We'll make sure you get all your questions answered and that you always have our full attention.
I had diabetes and I have trouble controlling it. And so the doctor I went to always gave me a really, really hard time and everything. And we never worked on how to solve it. And I heard about Oak Street Health and I was impressed the first time I came in because they really listen to you. Here, they spend the time with you.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you.
Call 855-265-7764 to schedule a visit at Oak Street Health today.
In addition to doctors and nurses, your care team includes social workers, someone to help you understand your Medicare benefits, and even mental health support.
What I love about Oak Street is that they take care of my body, my psychological thinking and all that. And I love that they do it together and they really do work together.
It's all part of how we make healthcare easy. Oak Street Health offers same-day or next-day appointments, and our patient support line means there's someone available 24/7 to help you with urgent healthcare issues and questions day or night.
Once we got to Oak Street, as soon as you walk in, you just feel the vibe. Everybody's so friendly and just attentive, like, to your needs. So you can tell they actually care.
Ready to switch to Oak Street Health? We make that easy too. We'll handle the transfer of your medical records and health history so you don't have to lift a finger.
Sometimes there's two important questions you can ask yourself, and that is, are you just surviving or you're thriving? And so I feel that I'm thriving.
Oak Street concentrates on each individual and what they're going through. They are a great place to go if you're a senior citizen. They're there to make sure that you're in good health.
Lots of things are more challenging as we get older, but healthcare shouldn't be one of them. At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you.
Call 855-265-7764 to schedule a visit at Oak Street Health today.
It's a season of suffering for so many animals. Animals across this country who are abused, abandoned, and left outside in the frigid cold to suffer.
We're seeing extreme frostbite where you have dogs that don't have the use of their limbs because they've been outside for such an extended period of time.
The suffering is difficult to measure. I mean, imagine being chained outside in these sub-0 degree temperatures, standing in ice and snow, dealing with the harsh wind hitting your body, no relief ever for that dog. Just imagine the amount of suffering and discomfort that those animals go through.
It's a season of so much suffering, but you can make it the season of second chances for an animal this winter. Sign up with your $19 monthly donation today, and you'll give an animal that second chance right now. An animal who can't wait much longer.
We walk into situations where a dog has been exposed to the cold for such a long period of time that it's curled up in the corner trying to preserve any source of heat that it has. They freeze to death in their sleep.
It's heartbreaking to get there and realize that you can no longer help that animal.
So please, don't wait one more minute. Sign up now, and we'll send you this free welcome kit. And if you join in the next 10 minutes, we'll also include this exclusive ASPCA t-shirt for taking action right away. For just 63 cents a day, you will help rescue animals who are fighting to stay alive this winter. Their second chance starts with you. Go online, call, or scan now.
Coming up next on True Crime Network.
Debbie Baker, a single mom and realtor in Austin, Texas, spends an evening with her mom and sister at a friend's baby shower on the evening of Tuesday, January 12, 1988. She gets home around midnight. The next morning, Debbie's body is discovered in her bedroom by her distraught mother, Gertrude. Her battered head is covered with a bloody pillow. Investigators comb the crime scene for evidence. Their initial investigation uncovers a few key facts.
The VCR player and a movie tape are missing. Perhaps Debbie has been robbed.
A person looking to steal does not necessarily have a motive to bludgeon a woman to death as she sleeps.
Debbie's body is found face down and nude, but there is no immediate evidence of sexual assault. Investigators believe Debbie's death is caused by blunt force trauma to the head. No murder weapon has been recovered.
Her wallet is empty. The VCR player and a movie tape are missing. Perhaps Debbie has been robbed.
Debbie's jewelry is untouched on her dresser, in plain sight.
Why steal a VCR player but leave the jewelry behind? Doesn't make sense.
Forensics finds important pieces of trace evidence, a hair on the comforter and another in the bathroom. Neither belonged to Debbie or her mother. Could this hair belong to Debbie's killer?
They did collect bath towels from the bathroom, and they had taken vacuuming of the bed comforter, and that's when we were able to get the pubic hairs.
In 1988, these physical items are valuable evidence, but DNA technology is just emerging as a forensic tool.
This is in the mid to late 80s. DNA technology was just in its infancy at that time.
Investigators will collect the evidence and hope that it might prove to be helpful.
Detectives notice tracks through the leafy backyard leading to the rear fence.
It looks like someone hopped the fence, tracking leaves as they walked toward the unlocked sliding doors, and then came inside to murder Debbie.
There were leaves, just based upon that time of year, so I believe that he had hopped the fence, made his way into the residence, and then basically hid out.
Police suspect the killer knew the victim, so they start with the most likely suspect, her ex-husband.
During the course of any investigation, we're looking at homicide cases. Virtually 50% of our homicides involving female victims involve dating or family violence.
The murderer is most likely familiar with Debbie, has reason to target her, and is likely male. The murderer knows how to get into the house without breaking in.
Philip Baker lives down the street from Debbie's home. Is he responsible for his ex-wife's murder?
Financial troubles could be a motive. Disputes over the kids could be another. Even if the kids think everything is great between mom and dad, a lot of bad stuff can happen behind closed doors.
Since they were each maintaining their own homes, Debbie and Philip both had their share of financial challenges. For now, Philip becomes the prime suspect.
Philip has an alibi. He was taking care of Jesse and Caitlin at his house the night of Debbie's murder, but the kids are too young to be reliable witnesses.
Imagine what the children are going through at this time. They've lost their mother, and now their father is under suspicion for her murder.
The job of an investigator is to gather all of the evidence, and having an alibi isn't always enough to remove suspicion unless it's airtight.
He was certainly somebody that investigators looked at very early on, but they were able to clear him.
As investigators remove Philip as a suspect, they don't have any immediate alternatives.
And as an investigator too, we have a duty to, exclude people as much as we do incriminate them.
With that, the case goes cold, and it will be 23 years before police get a break in the case. On October 28, 2011, Debbie's daughter Caitlin is a young woman when Austin Police Department homicide detective David Fugan gets in touch.
So they've kind of been going through this roller coaster ride for many, many years. And that explains why the family was even somewhat apprehensive when I first came onto the case.
The two children have been left to grow up without their mother. Debbie's own sister and mom have lost a best friend. After all these years, it seems unlikely that justice will be
The
served.
investigation, there are a lot of ups and downs where they think the investigators are making headway, so they get their hopes up, and then and only to find out that it didn't pan out.
The case is reopened for an unlikely reason. In 1986, 2 years before Debbie was killed, and 12 miles from her home, a stained blue bandana is found on the ground near another brutal homicide.
It was found a short distance from the scene. It did have blood stain on it.
In 1986, a young brunette woman, Christine Morton, was murdered in her bed, just 12 miles from where Debbie Baker would be killed in the same way 2 years later.
DNA on that bandana is collected and put into a national data bank.
And when a man called Mark Allen Norwood is arrested for burglary in California in 2011, his DNA is a match for the material found on the bandana.
His DNA standard was collected and uploaded to CORTES, which is our national combined DNA indexing system. We were able to then confirm that, in fact, the DNA that was on the blood-stained bandana in the Williamson County case was a mixture of both Mark Allen Norwood and Christine Morton.
The stained blue bandana is helping police solve a vicious unsolved murder. But can it lead Detective David Fugan to the man who killed Debbie Masters Baker?
Are you sitting at home living in pain? Maybe it's in your hands, maybe your back or your hips. The good news is you don't need to live in pain. Why? Because there is Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, natural, powerful joint relief supplement created from the green lip mussels of New Zealand. Drug-free, non-habit forming. It's small, easy to swallow, and it's backed by more than 40 years of clinical research. If you're experiencing daily aches and pains due to aging and overuse, try Omega XL. Just ask anybody who uses it. The results are undeniable.
I had a lot of joint pain, and that slowed me down.
I had considerable pain in my back.
Really felt the pain. I mean, in my ankles and in my heels.
I'm telling you about something that's gonna change your life. It has revived me.
This works.
I'm not a prisoner anymore to my pain.
As I was getting older, my joints started to feel that wear and tear. But then I tried Omega XL, and it changed my life. Today I'm here at my ranch exercising some of my polo ponies. So as you get older, it gets tougher. I was starting to suffer some of that business, and then I ran into somebody who said, look, you should try Omega XL. And look what it's done. I feel better than I felt in the last 30 years. And Omega XL gave me the ability to get back in the saddle. It works great. If you're in pain, I want you to know that there is real hope out there. I'm living proof. See the difference it can make in your life, just like it did in mine.
Buy one bottle of Omega XL and get one free. Plus, you'll also receive a bottle of Vitamin XL D3 absolutely free. Buy one, get two free. 2 bottles of Omega XL plus Vitamin XL D3, a value of more than $85. Call today and you pay only $39.95. Plus, it's backed by our 60-day money-back guarantee. Act now.
Learning to invest with Greenlight has really paid off.
Reminds me of how I learned about investing. Yeah, I never learned about investing.
Is there water in this thing?
Bring your family into the financial future.
The True Crime Network. Download the free app.
In January of 1988, 34-year-old mother of 2, Debbie Masters Baker, is found dead by her mother in her bedroom with a blood-soaked pillow covering her battered head.
When Debbie's mother discovers her daughter's body, she knows her grandkids have lost their mother. It's horrifying.
Some cash, a VCR, and a Hollywood movie tape was taken from Debbie's house, but Debbie's jewelry was left behind in plain view.
Semen and human hair not belonging to Debbie are found at the scene on her bed comforter and towels in her bathroom.
Police gather evidence from the scene. The circumstances paint a picture of a psychopathic killer.
The police can't connect anything they find to a suspect, and so the case goes cold for more than 2 decades. Now, for the little children of Debbie Baker, the trauma of losing their mother is a wound that just won't heal.
Yeah, for the son, it's just, he is really just withdrawn. I spoke to him, and he was very reserved. The daughter, Caitlin Baker, is a little bit more outspoken.
Now a young woman, Caitlin pines for a mother she lost when she was too young to even remember.
Caitlin she was just a small child at the time, and she's commented repeatedly through the years that she never knew her mother. So it's been difficult.
Caitlin grows up believing that justice must prevail. She gets a degree in criminal justice and finds a job as a paralegal.
She's always been the one that's been the most vocal, wanting to see justice for her mom.
In 2011, a break in Debbie Baker's cold case comes from a direction that no one can foresee.
It all starts roughly 2 years before Debbie died, on August 14th, 1986, in Austin, Texas, and about 12 miles away from her home.
Nearby the scene of another brutal homicide, a stained blue bandana is found lying on the ground.
The circumstances of this earlier murder case are strikingly similar to Debbie Baker's killing.
On the morning of August 13th, 1986, a young, attractive mother, Christine Morton, is found beaten to death in her bed by a blunt instrument.
Christine is being bludgeoned on her head with a wooden weapon. When she's found, a carry bag is covering her battered head from view.
In the Christine Morton case, there was reason to believe that she was hit with a piece of wood, because I think they did find splinters in that particular case.
Christine's husband, Michael Morton, is accused of murder.
Texas prosecutors accused Michael Morton of being angry that Christine would not have sex with him on his birthday the night before.
And this was, I believe, the day after Michael Morton's birthday. And he was wanting to be intimate with Christine Morton that night of his birthday. And she told him, she had a headache, or she just wasn't in the mood that night.
Michael wrote Christine a nasty note that came back to haunt him. Big time.
And tacked it to the mirror in the bathroom. And the investigator saw that and felt that was every motive for him to kill her.
That doesn't seem like a lot of motivation to provoke a murder, unless something else much more serious is going on.
One item is found missing from the house, a Colt Commander handgun. For some reason, other valuables are left behind.
In 1987, Michael Morton is sent to prison for Christine's murder, but he steadfastly maintains his innocence. Prosecutors are satisfied they have the right man.
I think that they were just kind of put the blinders on and were solely focused on Michael Morton, that they weren't willing to look at anything else. I think this was a case of tunnel vision.
After Michael is locked away, a team of lawyers working for the Innocence Project takes up his case and fights to have him released. But it will be years before that stained blue bandana will connect investigators to the man who killed 2 young women asleep in their beds.
Your hair is personal, and so is hair loss. Through HIMS, you can get access to proven ingredients and simple-to-use formulas for all types of hair loss, so you can find a treatment that works for you. For regrowth in 3 to 6 months, get started today at hims.com.
At DriveTime.com, we've been hard at work, and we finally did it.
Did you make it so I can finally shop at thousands of cars with no hit to my credit?
Wait, yes!
Go to DriveTime.com, get approved with no credit hit. Go to DriveTime.com, get approved, and shop your real terms with no credit hit.
Saving money is always exciting. That's why right now is the perfect time for you to join AARP. You get hundreds of benefits, resources, and tools that can help you save money, stay healthy, have fun, and make a difference in your life. Plus discounts at top retailers on dining, travel, and more. Join now to get your first year for just $15 with automatic renewal, plus a second membership for free.
Wow, that's a great deal, but I'm not retired.
Oh, you don't have to be retired. AARP is dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age.
Great, but how much can I really save?
Up to 15% off at restaurants, up to 30% off car rentals, plus free movie screenings, digital books, online games, and more. You'll even get AARP the magazine. Join now. Call or go to joinaarp.org to get your first full year for just $15 with automatic renewal. Plus get a second membership and a trunk organizer for free.
800-794-1435.
Hey, you! You're hungry and have no money for food? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You like video games too? You got games on your phone? You know you can make over $400 a month playing games on your phone with Super.com? Yes! With Super.com, you can save and earn money while playing. Want to give it a try? Go ahead to Super.com and get your cash today.
All right, team, saddle up. I want Q1 full index reports by this by noon.
Are you getting any of this?
Yep, Otter's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
Got it?
Got it, boss. Otter, you got this.
Behold, a branch ergonomic chair, a symbiotic companion for the working human, with 8 points of ergonomic adjustment and lumbar support, all for a price that's remarkably humane. Branch, wildly ergonomic.
My doctor told me I needed to start prioritizing my liver health.
Dose for Your Liver is a clinically backed supplement that supports healthy liver function.
My stomach feels a lot better.
He has more energy, he sees his grandkids more.
Start your liver health journey today at dosedaily.co.
When big city crimes hit small town America,
It was so shocking.
detectives try and piece together the clues in these quaint communities. Heartland Homicide, next on True Crime Network.
Austin, Texas. 2 murders, 2 years apart. On Wednesday, August 13th, 1986, Christine Morton is found dead in her bed, killed by multiple blunt force trauma wounds to her head.
And on another Wednesday, January 13th, 1988, Debbie Baker is found dead in her bed, suffering from multiple blunt force traumas to the head.
2 Wednesdays, 2 young brunettes killed in Austin, Texas, in their beds, their heads covered.
Both murders committed on the 13th of the month. How can this be a coincidence?
Both cases we had entry that was made into the residence through a back door where they've been struck repeatedly, and then objects placed on top of the head, which is not very common. And that really stood out in this particular case.
In both cases, there's one item missing from the home, but other valuables in plain sight are left untouched.
Now, in both cases, the husband is the only suspect. In Debbie's case, the husband is quickly eliminated. In Christine's case, the husband goes to prison.
Michael Morton was convicted for killing his wife. Thankfully, he was not given the death penalty, or else it could have been an even worse outcome.
4 years, Michael steadfastly claimed he'd been wrongfully convicted, refusing to sign a confession.
And he said, my integrity is all I have left, and I'm going to hold on to that. He said, I'll never, if I have to spend the rest of my life maintaining my innocence, then behind bars, then that's what I will do. That's the one thing that they were not able to take away from him.
It's actually the ongoing work by Michael Morton and his supporters to overturn his conviction that opens a door to possibly solving Debbie Baker's murder case.
And it all starts with that stained blue bandana.
He was serving his life sentence in prison when his attorneys fought to have this bandana that was found by a family member tested.
The Williamson County District Attorney's Office fought to prevent the bandana from being DNA tested.
And that went on for a number of years until the Innocence Project was able to convince a judge to give them a court order that allowed them to have that tested.
In 1990, the FBI begins a pilot project examining DNA samples from crime scenes across America from various police agencies.
It's called a Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS. It combines local, state, and national DNA databases. By 2020, CODIS contains more than 14 million profiles, and that's where the DNA information from the bandana is entered into.
And when they did, that's when they got the CODIS hit on the DNA standard in conjunction with the mixture of Christine Morton's blood. And that DNA came back to Mark Allen Norwood.
When Detective Fugit sees circumstantial connections between the 2 killings, he starts investigating Norwood as a suspect in Debbie's murder.
And we're able to then later make that connection between him and the Deborah Baker case based on proximity, how close he was living to the house.
Blood and hair taken from the blue bandana is analyzed, and the DNA is compared to millions of other entries in the CODIS database.
It matches a hair found at the scene of Debbie Baker's murder.
We're just gaining more and more evidence, and the case became stronger by the day. So once it came out that was Mark Allen Norwood was in fact going to be the perpetrator in both of those homicide cases, a judge granted Michael Morton's release from prison.
Mark Allen Norwood was a high school dropout who worked as a dishwasher and did odd jobs in Austin in the mid to late 1980s.
Norwood has a long rap sheet for petty crimes: attempted theft, driving with a stolen vehicle, malicious mischief, assaulting with intent, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. The list goes on.
He actually has pretty significant history of being a burglar, where he was stealing from people's garages, from their vehicles, and then I think that over time it just kind of progressed to where he was now breaking into houses and committing burglaries of habitation.
Norwood is connected by DNA to 2 vicious murders, and the odds that that hair found at Debbie Baker's house did not belong to Norwood are 1 in 377.2 billion.
Norwood does carpet installation work in the neighborhoods around the Morton and Baker homes during the time of both murders.
We've got the petty burglaries that are taking place, and then it kind of evolves where he's now window peeping on these female neighbors, and we think that eventually led to him breaking into the houses where he knew that these women were and that they were going to be vulnerable at the time.
Both women were killed by blunt force trauma to the head. Christine suffered 8 blows to the head with a blunt object, and Debbie 6 blows.
Both of the occasions that we're aware of, they were both in bed. Where they had already since retired for the night, and there wasn't anybody else in the house.
In both crime scenes, the wallets are emptied and 1 item was stolen, and yet items of value like jewelry are left behind. In Debbie's case, a VCR is taken. In Christine Morton's case, it is a gun.
A man who had every opportunity, and it's devastating, absolutely devastating for those families to, know what these women had gone through, in the final minutes of their life.
Now, stealing money is an obvious thing, but it seems like the other thefts of the VCR and gun were more like trophy thefts.
But the most significant piece that tied this all together was the fact that the person that he was doing the carpet laying with was able to tell investigators that during this time frame after the murder of Christine Morton, that Mark Allen Norwood sold him a Colt Commander firearm. And that was a gun that was actually stolen during the murder of Christine Morton. So investigators from the Austin Police Department looked at the gun and they read off the serial number. They knew this was going to make the case.
Further investigation of Mark Norwood leads to more connections between this man and the 2 vicious murders his DNA now ties him to. Back in 1987, neighbors reported to police that Norwood was selling what appeared to be stolen items in weekend garage sales.
Debbie Baker's VCR is never found, but police find items from 4 separate burglaries among the things Norwood was trying to get a quick buck for. One neighbor identified clothing that had been stolen from their own home.
But the key item for investigators was that Colt Commander handgun.
Literally a smoking gun. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it was. It was a significant, huge break in the case.
A lot of other things are gone. Relationship with my in-laws. It's been about a quarter century of my life. And yet, this is a good day.
A good day indeed. For the first time in more than 25 years, there are no murder charges hanging over Michael Morton's head.
We went immediately from what we call cold case to a hot case.
In October 2011, Michael Morton walks free from prison, exonerated from the terrible charge that he killed his own wife by bludgeoning her to death.
As I testified for the exoneration of Michael Morton, he spent 25 years in prison for killing his wife, and he didn't do it.
Imagine the feeling of walking free after so many years, and add to that, the knowledge that so much of your life has been wasted in prison for a crime you had nothing to do with.
Michael Morton's freedom is made possible because Mark Norwood's DNA is entered into a forensic database in California, 21 years after he murders Christine Morton.
Norwood faced a felony possession of methamphetamine charge in California in 2007. His DNA was logged, and the CODIS database connected him to that forgotten blue bandana that also held trace DNA from Christine Morton.
Now, Detective Fuga can let the Baker family know that they have a suspect in Debbie's long, cold murder case.
Essentially, it started off as a snowball and it turned into an avalanche.
After all these